Good evening, everybody. Thank you for stopping out to another episode of the podcast with your man here, Bobby Biggs. Hopefully, everybody had a great weekend. Sorry, I missed being live with you guys on Friday. It looks like the upload went good, so you guys are able to still get the content. But we were traveling for the first baby shower. We got family split between the Upper Peninsula and down in the Fox Valley here in Wisconsin. So we had a nice venture north. Heath, thank you for stopping by. Appreciate it, my man. Looking forward to talking a few topics today. The folks from HempFest, we're actually going to be rescheduling tonight's show. It's going to be for next Monday. I'll be making an event for you guys and everything. Get a little reminder. We're going to have, I think, 3 folks from HempFest on the show, so it'll be cool to have a couple different people to chop it up with. Very much looking forward to that. And Heather's in the house. Hey, Heather, thank you for swinging by. Excited. Heather said her and her husband are going to be making it out to the protests this year. Looking forward to that. Again, a reminder, the state capitol protest is September 29th, our due date, in Madison at 4:20, and we will have some great speakers there. Hopefully, I will be there. Obviously, if Harper comes that day, I won't be there. We'll see how everything shakes out. We got Randy in the house. Thank you for your continued support, man, and stopping out. Before we get rolling too hard into things here, let's be honest, the only thing we roll hard is our joints. We don't roll them hard either. We roll them tight, nice and tight. They got to be tight. Quick shout out to the folks who make this thing possible. Big love to Higher Love for being the main sponsor of the show. If you're in the UP, they are basically everywhere across the UP with the Wisconsin border, and even up in Marquette and that kind of thing too. Make sure you check them out. We got a link in the comments for you. Make sure you use that promo code to get those savings as well. And then also a huge shout out to Ignite Dispensary. Heather's smoking one right now. Let's go. Atta girl. Huge shout out to Ignite Dispensary. If you're looking for products that are legal in Wisconsin here, they know how to get the quality products that still are classified as legal. Stop in, check them out. It'll be worth your time, or you can check them out online. I did get a promo code from them today. Let me get that pulled up here. I highly recommend checking out their drinks. If you haven't yet, they've got the best selection out there. So we've got, let me put this in here. I will have this more properly ready for the next show. Ignite Dispensary promo code is LLW20, and that is 20% off your first order, one-time use through Ignite Dispensary. They got it going on, trust me. If you try and you don't like it, you let me know. I will refund your money. They got the quality products when it comes to edibles, drinks, flour, you name it. So thanks again, everybody, for stopping out. Hopefully everyone had a great weekend. Again, first baby shower. And my wife, when we get in there, she's like, hey, can you open all the presents? I don't want to be the center of attention. I'm like, bingo. Yeah. So it was like Christmas for me because it was opening all the presents for the baby. So excited. So appreciate everyone's support in the prep. Everyone's trying to keep me calm and collected. I got this. So we're ready. So Jill's here. Thanks for stopping out, Jill. Speaking of badass people out there in the world, appreciate your support as well, Jill. We got the promo code. Hopefully you got a chance to see that, Jill, there for Ignite Dispensary. Make sure you check them out. They're Wisconsin legal products. The drinks, I'm telling you, those are my favorite, but everything's great over there. So we got a few interesting articles in the news. We do have some awesome stuff coming up. More details will be coming out probably mid next week, although I'm always bad at once I had something in place, I'm bad at waiting a couple days. So it might be this week yet, but more realistically, it'll be middle of next week. We're going to start making some noise in some states that in some cities that have some movement on the Republican side for medical. I want to start putting pressure on these politicians. Obviously, it seems that the Democrats are all for legalization. I'll have more details next week. Doing my research, we need to start making noise, and I think we need to get the people who are on the fence, already on the fence about legalizing. We need to start moving. So I will keep that up with you guys. I have a blanket for you guys. I made it. What? No, you don't. You better not. I mean, that'd be really cool, but you don't have to do that, Heather. Scott, hey, you bet, man. Appreciate your support. Thanks for stopping out. Let's dive into some news here, folks. And again, we got the 3 folks from HempFest will be here next Monday. Sorry for postponing that, but we got 3 of them, so I thought that'd be really cool. Kind of have like our round table we had a couple months ago. All right, darn it! I don't know why this thing exists where it makes me so small. It drives me nuts. There we go. Nope, not that one. Who is at the helm here? Jeez, come on, Bobby Beans. You think you'd have it down by now? So this was interesting to see. We got some news in the NFL. Looks like the NFL is moving to dismiss a player's lawsuit over penalties for cannabis medication use. I want to see what this entailed. Anytime the NFL is involved, that is a pretty big deal. This one, though, is specifically the NFL and the Denver Broncos. They were asking the federal court to reject a player's lawsuit that alleged discrimination over penalties he incurred due to a positive THC test. I don't know. Does it have the player's name in here? Yeah, Randy Gregory. He played for the Broncos, but then he went to the 49ers most recently, I think it was. So, yeah, let's see what they got cooking here. The league and the team defended their cannabis policy for players, affirming it's their view that use of cannabis can lead to on-field injuries, poor job performance, and alienation of the fans. I did not know that that was their stance. That is crazy to me. So let's run that by again. In a joint motion to dismiss filed with the U.S. District Court for the District of Colorado last week, the league and team defended their cannabis policy for players, affirming it's their view that use of cannabis can lead to on-field injuries, poor job performance, and alienation of the fans. NFL, I thought we were a little more not so bullshitty, I guess is the word. Like, what? Come on now. If I had to guess, I would say the majority of players who I would be willing to bet, I don't have much, but I would bet it all that more than half of football players use cannabis, because you'd be silly not to, because of what it just helps with for pain, anxiety. Like, we know, right? We get it, right? I don't need to educate you guys on how cannabis helps, but can lead to on-field injuries, poor job performance, and alienation of the fans. We had that documentary with Calvin Johnson, one of the best wide receivers ever, freak of nature, super tall, super fast, Detroit Lions, drove me nuts, caught everything, and he was smoking before the game. So that, I'm going to say, is false. Your poor job performance. I don't think people would smoke if it made them slower in football or something. On-field, this is silly. That is stupid, says Jill. What, says Heather, right? This stoner's on board, right? Let's go. And she says, I am me your address and I'll send it. Okay, got it. We've got, so yeah, let's see. They challenged the discrimination claims from Randy Gregory, who played for the Broncos, then transferred to the 49ers. Gregory filed his suit in a state district court last month, arguing that the NFL and the Broncos violated the Colorado Anti-Discrimination Act, which they call the Canna, by penalizing him for using the FDA-approved cannabis medication dronabinol, which he was taking to treat anxiety, post-traumatic stress disorder, and pain. The case was moved to the federal court earlier this month. The defendants responded by arguing that those claims are completely preempted by the Federal Labor Management Relations Act, and they said U.S. Supreme Court and Federal Circuit Court precedents on collective bargaining agreements demonstrate that plaintiffs' claims under the state law may be dismissed. What? The motion to dismiss also asserts that Gregory's allegation that the NFL and Broncos violated Colorado's anti-discrimination law falls flat because the statute doesn't expressly protect workers from being penalized over cannabis use, regardless of whether it's used for medical purpose in compliance with state law. Real quick, Dave got a message in here. He says, I visited a few dispensaries in Lower Michigan while I was on vacation last week. Found some fantastic deals and brought some home with me. I won't have to go shopping for about 2 months. Attaboy. Yeah, it is crazy, the deals. Michigan, again, kudos to their market. They seem to be doing very well. The amount of stores seems very healthy. It keeps a good competition, keeps a lot of people employed, and the prices are banging, especially compared to Illinois. Jill says we need to do a growing class. This is a great idea. I have a journal that I came up with through my trials and tribulations. Definitely not definitely not like the guy that we want to expressly take notes from, but I think that would be great. We would have to probably just double check. I think we'd have to make sure that we'd have to hemp only growers license, or you'd have to have a hemp growing license for Wisconsin before you watch this video. That kind of stuff. That's the only thing I worry about. Is I can't be doing a tutorial on how to grow something illegal, I think is what my lawyer would say. I will double check on that. But I could also record it in a legal state, perhaps. So we'll check it out. But no, I think we should definitely do something with growing. That would be awesome. Real quick, chopping it back up here when it comes to Mr. Gregory and the NFL. It says right here, the NFL and the Players Union agreed to end the practice of suspending players over cannabis or other drugs as part of the collective bargaining agreement in 2020, but it has continued to fine players over positive THC tests. It looks like for the first through third positive test, the fine is half a week's salary. The fourth and each subsequent positive test is punishable by a fine equal to 3 weeks' salary. Damn, son, especially for Jordan Love. That's a big chunk of money. Shout out to Jay Love for getting his contract extension, staying here in Green Bay. I'm here for it. I know it's a lot of money. I know they get paid too much, but he's our guy. So I'm glad he's here longer. That's awesome. It looks like the league and the team are defending the current policy, noting that it contains detailed requirements and protocols, so on and so forth. So in sum, the plaintiff plainly, here's the quote, plainly seeks to use this lawsuit to avoid discipline and preclude the medical administrators from enforcing the express provisions of the NFL's collectively bargained policy. Oofda. Not only is such a claim intertwined with the collective bargaining agreement and the policy that this preempted under Section 301 of the LMRA, it also fails as a matter of law and must be dismissed. Interesting. So that's what they got going on out there. Excuse me. It'll be interesting to see if the NFL sticks with where it's currently at with that fining system. It's just silly. We all know they all use it. The majority use it by far. I think it's just, again, they're still trying to save face for some reason. Like, step up, be the forefront leaders to be like, hey, we ain't playing this silly cannabis game anymore. It's legal. Take it or leave it. Jill says, go Vikings. I can't believe I clicked that and put that on the screen. You're lucky. I appreciate you, Jill, because I'm not a Vikings fan. I live in Green Bay for crimity's sake. We are all about the Packers, baby. Have to be. All right. No, I do appreciate a good challenge. So push drugs instead of natural, right? Yep. Also, we got some news out of Ohio. Wanted to see what they got going on over there. There's been a lot of talks that they are getting ready to launch their responsible use, otherwise known as recreational sales down there in Ohio. Again, still can't believe they beat Wisconsin, but they did. So Ohio officials send guidance to dispensaries on rulings for opening day sales events, advertising, and more ahead of market launch. I wanted to see how clamped down are they going to be with this thing? Like, can people promote? Can businesses promote? Let's see what they got going on. The Division of Cannabis Control has been issuing the state's first dual certificates of operation for growers, processors, and testing labs. Again, what it looked like they were doing over in Ohio is they're going to take places that are already set up for medical and give them the dual license in the beginning is how things are going to roll out over there as far as getting things rolling. Regulators have commenced inspections of certain dispensaries to ensure they're meeting updated compliance requirements. In anticipation of those first opening, the DCC sent out applicants new guidance materials to, quote, prepare for dual use operations, end of quote. So one way the division is preparing prospective dual licenses is by reminding them of what they can and can't do to mark their opening day. So let's see how restrictive things are here. For example, businesses cannot allow on-site consumption. They cannot offer samples of infused or non-infused products. They cannot have music or food trucks outside the shop. They can't? That's weird. They cannot promote the opening with celebratory decor on the exterior or hold a ribbon cutting ceremony outside. What? What? Ugh. I mean, hey, I'm sure they had to I'm sure it's not just the council rolling in like, hey, we got cannabis, boom, we can do whatever we want, right? I'm sure there's some give and take. But somebody really said, hey, you can't do a ribbon cutting. I don't want no flags outside that say grand opening. What? That's crazy. Can't have music or a food truck? I mean, it could be worse. They could be us, right? We ain't got no grand opening to even talk about in Wisconsin, but seems a little silly to me. Heather says, just let us free, right? Dave says, I tell people I live on an island, legal all around me, but here, right? Don't put them signs up out there that say grand opening. No food trucks. Why support local business? They are permitted to have music inside. Ooh, they can have music inside as long as it's not a live performance. How dare you think about having a live performance anywhere near cannabis? Okay. You can also offer non-alcoholic beverages and promote the opening by holding a ribbon cutting ceremony inside the dispensary. So yeah, there must have been some pushback. And somebody said, can we at least cut a ribbon inside? And they said, yes. Can you believe that is a thing? You can't cut a ribbon outside, but you cut the ribbon inside. That's what we need to make sure everybody around this cannabis store is safe. Oh, my. The DCC also advised applicants that until new advertising rules are enacted, all businesses must still adhere to the existing regulations in place under the state's medical cannabis law. To help dual licenses, the division provided a template for what they can post without requiring independent approval. All right. Let's see. Advertising. Here it is. So, this is pretty plain Jane looking, folks. Here, let me share this with you. How do I do this? We're going to go. I want to make it so when I share it, you can actually see it. So we're going to go to open image and new tab. There we go. All right, we're going to share screen. We're going to go to a window, this one. So, non-medical cannabis available beginning, and you can put the date at the top. You can have the dispensary logo, the dispensary name, up to 2 addresses, it looks like, in the hours of operation. Open to consumers 21 plus with a valid government-issued photographic ID. Curbside pickup available. Online orders accepted. Drive-through available. The website, the social media handles, and then licensed by the Division of Cannabis Control. So it sounds like if you follow this, you can put it somewhere. But if you don't, it has to be pre-approved by the council. Interesting. Get that off the screen for you. In order to be used without prior approval, the advertisements using the above elements must utilize a solid background. Don't you dare get no lines going across in that background. You are not required to use all the elements listed above for the advertisement to be considered compliant with the template. However, any elements not listed above must comply with state rules and be submitted for division review and approval prior to use. Chris says, I went to Nirvana yesterday. I think we need to talk to them. Ooh, Chris had a good experience at Nirvana. Attaboy. Shoot me a message so I don't forget, if you don't mind. Heather says, no live music in cannabis, huh? That's how I get over my nerves before I sing. Yeah, right? I think that's the case for everybody out there. They also reminded businesses that they will need to update their license number after receiving a certificate of operation and display a label identifying them as licensed by the division. That seal benefits entities licensed by the DCC, so they can know by seeing the seal on packaging that the product is tested and regulated. Additionally, they also provided guidance on immediate access to cannabis businesses, which will likely be a key consideration for licensees on opening day as news outlets prepare to cover the market launch. Let's see what kind of can you only let in channels 4 through 6 because we can't have too many there, and they can only be there from like 6:54 a.m. to 7:02 a.m. Here we go. The guidance emphasized that any photography or video must not feature security systems or show any identifying information about patients, caregivers, or adult use consumers. At dispensaries, people must have given consent if they're photographed or recorded for media purposes. Fair enough. It remains unclear when the first dispensaries will be certified or when sales will officially launch, but the expectation is that it's imminent, especially given that regulators have started inspecting the provisional licensees. Interesting. So there are some of the do's and don'ts as far as if you're opening a dispensary in Ohio, make sure you follow those rules because they are picky over there in Ohio. But again, we can't be too critical of them because they are way ahead of us. So I guess we'll take that for what it's worth. All right, moving along. We got some more news. This one coming out of some GOP congressman saying that rescheduling and banking reform would prop up an immoral industry. So is this Voss or DeSantis? Because those are the two that just hate cannabis. And it sounds like something they would tell their supporters. GOP congressman who represents California is condemning the Biden administration's push to reschedule, as well as legislative efforts to enact bipartisan cannabis banking reform, because he says the policy changes would prop up this immoral industry and, quote, give a green light to the evil that comes from drug use, end of quote. Right, Jill? You might be right. But we're making noise. Stay tuned. I think the counties that, or the areas that seem most likely, like our government isn't immoral, no kidding. In doing my research real quick, I'm 99% sure Manitowoc and Sturgeon Bay and Two Rivers, if I'm not mistaken. Those three, I believe, are going to be for sure on places we are going to be making noise here soon. We're looking for folks who are partial, sort of, they're taking that step to, we should get some sort of really restrictive medical. We need to keep pushing them and get them with the Democrats, and it's a whole thing. I'm working on it. Stay tuned. Because the policy changes would prop up. Okay, we got that. In a brief speech on the House floor, so it was actually Representative Doug LaMalfia out of California who took aim at the two incremental cannabis reform proposals, while also claiming that cannabis use is linked to increased dependency on welfare benefits. Jill says Clark County. Clark County won't be on this list. This is the folks that are close that we can push to get the majority to take over. We're going for the whole state. I don't think, and looking at the counties, county to county isn't gonna be able to get us anywhere. The Justice Department proposed rule to move from Schedule 1 to Schedule 3. As we know, that went through its first comments session, which closed, was that last Monday? Yeah, holy crap. Time is flying. It's interesting, though, that this guy out of California, I mean, I would think they see the revenue and everything going on out there, but yeah, so he says right here, if enacted, this would increase the use of an already dangerous substance. You're in California, bro. This ain't going to change nothing over there. While rescheduling would allow licensed cannabis businesses to take federal tax deductions that they're currently barred from under the IRS code known as 280E, but it would not legalize the plant. So it's unclear what he means by suggesting it would increase usage rates. Doesn't make sense. He also claimed, contrary to research, that if he meant the number of consumers, that might be explained by the fact that the state has the greatest population in the nation by far, but in terms of rates of consumptions, surveys have consistently found higher percentages of users in other states. This guy's just talking all over the place. He's not making any sense. He says, though, I believe the government should de-incentivize the use of the harmful drug and not allow banks to prop up this immoral industry. Federal government should have no role in encouraging citizens to break federal law by incentivizing banks to handle the money in these industries. This guy's he's getting paid from somebody. These measures give a green light to the evil that comes from drug use. The addicts will rely on state welfare, disability payments for unemployment. Their medical program problems will increase. drain out our already strained healthcare system, which taxpayers, are going to front the bill for that. I'm done reading what this guy has to say. There's only a little bit more, but this guy's just a troll. This is nonsense. What was his name? He's on our list. He's in the same list with DeSantis and Voss. La Malfa. We're going to keep an eye on this guy because these are the three. They're the head of this group that is just cannabis is terrible. It's we're not talking about this guy anymore. You're on our list, though, Muffalafia. We're keeping an eye on you. All right, and then our last bit of news for the evening comes to Missouri. Comes through by way of Missouri. I had a couple people when I was down in Missouri point out the fact that there are a lot of Canna lounges. And essentially the Canna lounges down there are kind of like hemp in Wisconsin. It's the Wild West. Everyone's kind of testing the limits because it's a really gray area, which is leading to a lot of them. So the state of Missouri controls licenses for cannabis producers and dispensaries, but it does not regulate cannabis lounges and consumption venues, leaving it up to the cities and counties to decide for themselves. Interesting. As the industry blooms in Missouri, entrepreneurs seek to provide new avenues for consumers in cannabis lounges. The Treehouse Lounge is a lounge here outside of Nixa, opened in November of 23, and eventually hopes to expand its presence across the state. Looks like they're talking to the founder of it, and he says we're eventually trying to get to an area where we can franchise out to multiple locations. That way, if you're a member with us, you can be a member with all of us. That'd be pretty dope. If you go to St. Louis, you have a place where you can hang out. If you're a club member with us, if you go to Kansas City, you have a place where you can go hang out. That'd be really cool. Love it. This is cool. I like this idea. The state does not regulate, as we talked about. That was a struggle, he said, when trying to find a location. They ended up in the Nixa city limits. Finding a place was a struggle, trying to find the right place, he said. We worked for 2 years trying to find a place that worked for us with the local municipalities and things like that. In St. Louis, discussions about allowing cannabis cafes in the city are ongoing. Cafes provide a similar function to lounges, except cannabis-infused foods can be made and served at cafes. Fair enough. St. Louis Alderman Rasheen Eldridge is working on 2 cannabis-related ordinances. One is Board Bill 15, which would extend the hours of city cannabis dispensaries. The other would allow cannabis cafes to operate in the city. Very cool. We are actually moving there next year. Woohoo. Oh, that's awesome. Thank you so much. We didn't know this. Hey, you're welcome, Heather. That's pretty awesome. Again, light years ahead of Wisconsin. Aldridge hopes to see both bills. The second bill. Oh, yeah, we talked about both. Sorry. Aldridge hopes to see both bills passed by the end of the city's legislative session in April of 25. He said the cannabis cafe ordinance was inspired by similar concepts in states like Colorado and Cali, and that revenue made from cannabis can benefit local municipalities. Common sense. Kudos. St. Louis and Missouri, I would say we're slow to change. That's happening amongst us, he said. So we're trying to catch up and also trying to see different ways that we can attract tourism, but also do something new and innovative in the city. Membership model proves popular. There's a place, Mary Jane's Place. Hey, I like it. In Ashland, opened in April. Owners sat down with city officials to discuss their plans for the business and receive approval. The membership model is common among private cannabis venues. Both Mary Jane's Place and the Treehouse Lounge, the one we talked about earlier, offered membership for access. There's daily, monthly, and annual memberships that are available. At the Treehouse Lounge, the daily pass is $15. Weekly passes are $35, and annual passes are $420. Daily passes at Mary Jane's are $5, $20, $50, and $210 respectively. So this guy says, so we call ourselves a gem membership kind for cannabis, where you can come in and pay a day membership or annual membership and try out all the equipment and try some different things you may not be ready to buy yet. That's dope. I like that. Frost said locals usually tend to purchase annual memberships, with the clients that purchase weekly memberships being traveling workers. Daily memberships can be a good fit for those who may be curious about the business. That's cool. I really like it. They're quoted as saying they'll be all over. Lounges are working to appeal to consumers with unique offerings and settings. So the Treehouse Lounge allows local brands and dispensaries to donate their products and feature them at the location and host educational events to inform consumers about cannabis. That is awesome. Heather says we will be VIP members. Hey, get it, Heather. I'll get that day pass when I come down and visit. One thing that we do that's really cool, we do an educational class with an actual certified registered nurse that comes in. Said the Treehouse place, Mary Jane's place, also seeks to offer different areas for consumers. We have a smoke shop, we have a park, we have a veranda out back, we have an event room, bong rental room, and a sports room. We serve little freeze-dried candies and stuff like that, and so it's all a really good environment to actually just chill. That sounds fun. Man, I look forward to that. That is pretty neat. So it looks like they wrapped up here by saying it's basically a Wild Wild West in the Midwest. We're actually pioneering. So I do believe that you're going to see more of these, just like there are bars. Give it about 5 years and they'll be all over. That's awesome. And bring it up here. I'll invest in that. Let's get that going with hemp for now and convert as it comes. That's pretty neat. Very neat, actually. Jealous. Damn. But that's why we keep talking about it. We got to stay on top of these ideas when we're talking about writing legislation and giving input. We don't want to start out where most places started out 15 years ago. Get these lounges in there too, for example. So, doesn't Canna and MKE have a lounge? They do. They have the drinks. I don't know if they have smokes. They have a pretty similar setup. Correct. Yep. I would really like the game room though, or like how they said, like game. Like I'm just thinking a huge spot, but no, there definitely are a couple out there, and they're probably worth the trek to find them. So, again, stay tuned. We got some awesome news coming out as far as how we're going to be ramping up with the election coming up here and taking advantage of these people who are in office. They're doing a lot of engagement with their community, so we need to find constituents in some key areas to get out. I'll be stopping out there to help support this. I'll be getting you promotional materials, that kind of stuff. We just need to start getting the pedal to the metal and getting some pressure on these folks. So appreciate everyone's support. We're going to be in KC in September. I'll let everyone know how it is. Hey, Heather, that's awesome. Look forward to it. It's Christmas morning for us right now, right? Yeah, exactly. So appreciate everybody stopping out. Hopefully you have a great evening. We'll catch you again Wednesday. And again, we got the folks from HempFest joining us next Monday. We're going to have, I'm terrible with names, but I believe it was Chris, Bree. There was somebody else who's going to be joining too. Brooke, I believe we're the three. So stay tuned for that. Have a great evening, everybody. We'll catch you again on Wednesday. Otherwise, that's all I got. Bobby Beans. We're out, folks.